this is Christina from The Upcoming. So lovely to speak with you today. To start things off, would you like to tell us a bit about your characters in One of Them Days?
Jamil is a entrepreneur who's about his money, about his business, about his friendships. He's the neighborhood hair stylist who who's always out to help a friend as long as they're not trying to ruin his bag.
And I think Maniac is the mysterious protector of the hood. I think not a lot of people know too much about him, but he's somebody that definitely cares about the community, the people in it. And I mean, he's truly a hero.
What were your initial impressions of your characters, and did that change over time?
Yeah, for me, it definitely did. I don't know if you read the first script, Dwayne, but he was a lot more rough and tough. I mean, he was a full-on gangbanger in the first rendition of the script. I think kind of like forming that arc of him being this more aggressive protector to this more silent protector that has I don't know, a history, not necessarily a chip on his shoulder, but something that he has to fight for, a badge of honor almost.
I agree. I did read that first script, and I did see the difference. It was he was very rough.
No, he was about that.
And for Jamil, his whole thing was just, it's so funny because I feel like a lot of people are always asking me, like, why didn't I finish Kiki Palmer's hair? And I was like, we're not asking the right questions. Why didn't she appreciate my time, my
To do
help?
for free.
I said, this is a hookup. You can't take advantage of a hookup. And so I think on the page, it was pretty much there. And then my whole job was to just recognize, like, this is about friendship. This is not really a transaction. This is really about a person trying to tell their friend, hey, I'm trying to set boundaries so that we can continue to have what we have. And just kind of seeing the humanness in that helped bring out the comedy a lot more.
On the topic of the hair and a maniac's strong, silent type character, how did you prepare for your roles?
It was I actually went back to the neighborhood that we filmed it in, which is where I grew up, and just talked to a lot of my homies from the hood, people that were gangbangers that were kind of more calmed down and just community leaders at this point, and just kind of just pick their brain and see where they were at with it. And I mean, personally, I'm more of a high energy person, so I think a lot of it was just getting to a space on set where I wasn't so up all the time. I think Maniac had a very chill, calm energy, and tapping into that what I was kind of most important for me.
Yeah, and I feel like Jamil felt pretty close to my own kind of energy. So I prepared by just hanging with my girls. It was like, oh yeah, like this is a dynamic that feels familiar. I probably should have did more hair. I remember on set they were like, "Can you braid?" And I said, "No, can't."
This movie takes some inspiration from the 1995 film Friday, starring Ice Cube. Is that a film you connected with or watched growing up?
100%. I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. I mean, growing up in LA, pretty much where we filmed Friday, or where they filmed Friday and where we filmed this, I feel like Friday just has a very strong connection to LA natives specifically, but the Black community in general. I feel like that was our first like cult classic comedy with hella quotables that people were able to carry. I mean, they carry it with them to this day. 30 years later, we still quote Friday and reference Friday. And so I think that was one of those movies that had a cultural impact that everybody was swept up in.
Agree, because I'm from the Midwest, and Friday still was very impactful. And as a young person watching Friday, and then being in one of them days, I didn't recognize like the actual like place and be like, oh, this is a real place with real people. Being like a young person, it was still like LA felt like a TV world. So it was nice to be able to be in the version of a movie where I was like, oh, I actually know like these neighborhoods, these streets, versus watching Friday and just be like, this is all make believe.
Now I can see that. Just because like when I first watched Friday, it literally felt like I could walk outside my house and be on that block. So I never thought about that perspective from like being in the Midwest and almost viewing a world that seemed so far away and then finally being in it.
Yeah.
That's kind of, yeah.
I would say the first movie that I felt that was Candyman, because that was like the first movie I saw that was like filmed in Chicago, like in the neighborhood that I knew. And so
Yeah.
that was like reminded me that like, oh yes, these are real places that are they putting in
Like,
movies. They're not creating
that's,
places for.
do you feel like seeing that made this job more possible and more real for you? Having a movie that you could like kind of see your city on film. Did that like kind of make some sort of connection for you or not?
Yes, and I also think having living in LA for the last 7 years and having a lot of LA native friends and seeing what places meant to them and seeing the parallel of like how I feel about my city growing up to how they feel about their city and knowing that like, oh, like certain areas have certain symbolism, have certain memories and things
Yeah,
that,
emotional connections for sure.
yeah. So that was like even like knowing like what the jungles was and being like, what the hell is the jungles? And then recognizing,
Yeah.
oh, oh, like that really did put a layer on it that made me recognize that I'm a part of a community and that means something. It's not just like any community, it's a very specific community.
Yeah. Like if they made a movie called Wild Hunteds. Exactly.
You know what that is?
I'm from Robbins, super South Side. I got cousins in Harvey and everything, so I get it.
Harvey.
Don't do that. My bad. Go ahead.
On that topic, Patrick, so you grew up in LA, and Dwayne, you've been in LA for 7 years. How do you feel this film addresses issues of gentrification and community within those historically significant?
As someone that lived there and was experiencing it, I think they touched on it very, very well, in a very accurate but lighthearted and humorous way. I think the Bethany character was so impactful and so perfect, really. I think kind of showing the gentrification of the neighborhoods, even how Uche was remodeling the inside of the apartment buildings. That is something that's happening right now. I think a lot of people are vying for a newness in this community, but how do you get a new, refreshed face on something without losing the history and the culture that exists there? And I think the movie kind of touched on that in a beautiful way.
Yes, and as a person who that have not been able to like kind of see the changes, it was interesting to see what parts of myself felt like a Bethany moving into a city that was not mine
Mm,
and recognizing that like, oh, there's certain neighborhoods that I have to choose and pick and knowing not knowing the history of these cities and only picking it by being like, oh, that's new. That's nice. Oh, it's so cheap on the South. Why? And not even recognizing that like, oh, they're gentrifying and I can identify funnily enough with Bethany, but also with everybody else.
Dwayne, question. When you moved to LA, was it called Rodeo or was it called Obama, the street?
Rodeo.
Okay, so you was here, so you saw some of it then. Because when they changed it to Obama, I was like, oh, so now there's only one rodeo and it's in Beverly Hills. They took it away.
Wait.
Oh, come
No,
on now.
I'm lying. It was Obama because I was like, there was two rodeo. Yeah.
There you go. So it was Rodeo Drive and then there was Rodeo Boulevard, which was Rodeo was Obama.
Oh yeah, no, I was not there for that.
No. See?
Okay, yes. I'm a
Yeah,
gentrifier.
he said I'm a gentrifier. You just came after the fact. That ain't your fault.